while it also sort of seems like the most disconnected we've been because of COVID, like it's also the most connected we've ever been.
Yeah, I can see
And
that.
I've been attending so many webinars. I've seen so many professors presenting their research that I would never have the opportunity of listening to.
Can you shine like a little bit of light on maybe like the same thing for the Biochem Society? Maybe yours. Maybe you
Right.
might want to think about it for a bit, but maybe like the foundation that
No,
has you picked
this
up as
is
president. Yeah, go for it.
yeah, this is definitely something that I considered the first semester or the first year being president. And first year was definitely an eye-opening experience. I realized I was not as ready as I thought. So this is the second year. I'm feeling a lot better. But I did sort of have a goal in mind for the first year is our previous meetings, we would show up for like 10, 15 minutes tops. They would talk about something with a PowerPoint and say like, okay, you're free to go if you want. Like you can stay, hang out, but that's it.
Yeah.
And it was sort of awkward. I was just like, okay, well, I want to at least make sure the meetings last like 45 minutes to an hour, like actually have meaningful meetings and it's like getting information out. So that was what my first year was primarily over because I had to find things to talk about. And I had to make these 45-minute to an hour long presentations, which was a decent amount of work. But the way that I saw that is it gets you a very good solid foundation because you're going to have to recycle information. There's going to be new freshmen, new sophomores, new juniors, new seniors that need to hear the things that the previous year did. So we got that foundation laid and I'm sort of improving on those meetings as well. But this year I'm really trying harder to get people more involved in research because that's sort of where my main passion lies. And it does seem like a lot of our students are wanting to go that way. So I'm trying to cater for that. And I believe in your previous podcast, you said you need three three pillars that you sort of build your organization on.
So where we got that from is Mr. Bruce Howard is a leadership coach at the McCoy Business School of Business, I think it's the name. And I had a meeting with him and he said, whenever you're trying to lay a foundation, you have to choose, normally you can choose how many ever you want, right? But the sweet spot is 3, right? And so whenever we talked about that, we decided that it would be professional development, social development, and then community, right? And then each one of those will go into, career development, which goes into professional. We can do industry tours, which also goes into professional. And it just kind of goes like that.
Right. Yeah. So ours is sort of close to that. I went a little more in depth with professional. I wanted to do one focusing specifically on research, one focusing on if you don't want to go into research, what do you need to do to get prepared for getting a job after undergraduate? And then outreach is the third. So that's our big 3. And then I have like a half one that sort of happens along the way with these 3 is just building a community with the organization.
Yeah, no, I think that's really, really important. And especially I think the one that you mentioned of, if you don't want to do research, what are you going to do with your STEM degree, right? Because I feel like a lot of people, or at least the people who I've talked to, and they're just kind of tell me, well, what are you going to do with your chemistry degree? And I feel like, they forget that everything is made of atoms. And, I can, if I want to work for a plastic, something, I can go do it. If I want to go make detergent, I can go do it. If I want to make medicine, I could go do it. So it's just it's very versatile. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand that. But where I'm getting at is, I actually don't remember, Jake, did you go to that leadership conference?
Yes. So the person that you're talking about, I forgot his name already. I was
Bruce
sitting
Howard?
next to you during that.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I said it and I was like, you were with me. I remember that.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I think the keynote speaker, one of them, Ruben, I think it was his name. He was like a comedian. He was like a scientist comedian. Do you remember them?
Ringing a bell. There is the reporter, there is the immigrant one, and the last lady.
That one.
The last one was a comedian. I had no clue.
Well, anyways, regardless, he was one of
Uh-huh.
his main points in his talk was basically saying there's more to STEM degrees than just working in a lab, and he talked about we need people.
Oh, you're
Ringing a bell
talking
now?
about Sure. You're talking about the Sure program keynote speaker.
No, was it the ship? I thought he was in the
Yes, it
research
is.
program.
It was the Sure program one because
Oh
that's
yeah,
why he
you're
was
right.
talking about the
You're right.
PhD programs and what you
You're
can
right.
do.
Well, the message that he was, saying was basically, just because you're getting a chemistry degree, it doesn't mean you're gonna work in a lab. It
Hmm.
doesn't have to mean that. If it does, great, right? But it doesn't have to mean that. And he kind of shared his path, and he was basically, he worked in a lab for a little bit, but then he became a writer, and then he decided to be on TV shows, and like he just kind of maybe not in that order, but
Hmm.
basically the overall message was just because you're getting a chemistry degree or a science degree in general doesn't mean you have to work in a lab. And that kind of really spoke to me because you know that's the first time I heard that. And I mean it's kind of obvious, maybe to some, just because you're majoring in chemistry doesn't mean you're gonna go work in a lab, right? But it just I never thought with a chemistry degree I may go into politics or I may go
Yeah.
into social work or I may, it's still a possibility. And just getting a chemistry degree doesn't mean you learn chemistry. You learn problem solving. You learn, different skills that you require to do chemistry, but you can apply those in so many different things. And I think when you said that, if you're not doing research, with your career, what are your other options? I think that's a
Mm,
great thing to focus
yeah.
on.
I mean, obviously, I'm gonna try to get them into research, like
Mhm.
try my little persuasion and sort of uh, push for that direction. But obviously, I know it's not going to be for everyone. Not everyone's going to want a research
Of
job.
course.
So
And I mean, I think that's definitely true, but I think everyone should try it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think everyone should at
yes.
least get a taste of it. I mean,
Hmm.
so my main motivation for getting into specifically biochemistry research, I think I should join the Biochemistry Society. What do you think? Uh,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
yeah, no,
What do you want me to
my
say? Sorry, Nick. Not allowed.
um, no, my main motivation for really getting into research is just like, and I don't know if I mentioned it on the podcast, but I want to go to medical school, right? I want to become a
Hmm.
physician. And now what I'm really considering is do I want to become a physician, or do I want to become a scientist? And what I mean by that is like, do I want to enter an MD PhD program, or do I just want to get an MD? And I can't really make that decision confidently if I don't start to really get into research. And I know MD PhD programs are extremely demanding when it comes to lifestyle. But I mean, if it's something like I think I'd love to do research and then apply that research directly to the patients that I
Hmm.
work with all the time. So uh, that's just something that that's on my list of things to get done in these
Right.
next 2 years for sure. Yeah, I guess that's my perspective from it. I
Yeah.
really do
And
think
then
everyone should get into research.
yeah. And since it does seem like you're very like patient oriented, you could even, if you did decide to go like a research route, you could stay with translational medicine, right?
Yeah.
To wherever it's like you don't have quite the interaction you would as a doctor, but like you're pretty much making medicine that could be implicated very rapidly with people
I
Hmm.
and
think
like be pretty much on
yeah.
the front line.
I was gonna say, I think programs here in Texas, like MD Anderson and maybe UT Southwestern, have programs for you to get a degree in transitional medicine.
Hmm.
I was actually looking at those like maybe like
Yeah.
earlier on this year.
Yeah, I think UT Southwestern, because that's one of the schools I'm looking into, they actually have a track that if you get accepted in their PhD program, you can apply for it. And I believe, don't quote me on this, I might be wrong, but I think they even like pair you up with a physician that works with patients and you like
Hmm.
try to cater with them and sort of figure out the clinical aspect of
Yeah.
research.
There's so many
That's
routes to go.
interesting. Yeah.
I
It's
know.
not
It's
as
crazy.
like you get like four choices, right? I mean, there's so many
Hmm.
opportunities. We definitely, I think, Edgar and I mean all of us really need to do more into like after undergrad. I think a lot of the stuff we do is you could say is tailored to like first year, second year students, especially like getting into research. How to make a resume, stuff like that. But if we started providing more post undergraduate experiences and like having speakers and all that. I was going to talk about it is, we did mention earlier, like COVID impacting our organizations and stuff, but I think there's a good benefit to all of this move to remote learning and remote working. Having speakers seems to be a little easier to accomplish now. I know, like PMPD, Pre-Dental Society, they're having a much easier time getting some speakers, apparently, just because now you don't have to only reach out to like local physicians and local medical school interviewers. So just making a Zoom meeting, having them join the Zoom call and having them talk for 30 minutes. I mean, it seems to be much easier to get done. And whether we do that through the podcast or whether we get like chemists working in industry, that'd be a really cool lecture that we could listen to. And I think our members would agree. So much opportunity, really, so much opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I sort of agree with that. I think it's been, while it also sort of seems like the most disconnected we've been because of COVID, like it's also the most connected we've ever been. Yeah, and I've been attending so many webinars. I've seen so many professors presenting their research that I would never have the opportunity of listening to. Like, there's an upcoming webinar that I'm registered for that a Nobel laureate is speaking. This is going to be the first time I've ever heard like a Nobel laureate talk about their research, and I'm super excited about that. And that would have been occurring in Tennessee. And there's just no way I could have seen that. So
is that something you just sign up for and you get to tune in, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think so. I think they limit it to 500 people. So wow. I got this link from the summer research program I was involved with remotely. They just sort of sent out this link, and it's just like, I highly recommend that you show up. And this is Frances Arnold. And she was the one who sort of came up with directed evolution. And that's what she won the Nobel Prize for. And if you don't know what directed evolution is, it's just, you get a protein, you make like random mutations, and you see the efficiency of it doing a different reaction that it was normally intended to do. But you're slowly making it more and more efficient at catalyzing that reaction. And Dr. Peterson actually has a project like that.
Yeah. Holy cow.
That's
super cool. Wow, I'd love to hear about that after you get to listen to it.
For sure.
You briefly mentioned your summer research program. You're talking about the Vanderbilt Summer Science Academy?
Yes, I am. So I did get accepted into that, but unfortunately it was canceled due to COVID. So I didn't get to go to Vanderbilt. But what I did get to do is they held, it was 3 webinars a week, and it was just sort of, you can tune in and see what's happening. And they would have professors come on, and they would talk about their research, talk about who they are, their background, and you get like a very holistic view of whoever's super interesting to see that they didn't just limit it to PhDs. They had MDs, they had PhDs, MD PhDs. They had students that were currently MD PhD students talking about their experience, and that also helped solidify my decision in pursuing a PhD and not like I did consider an MD PhD for a little, but after that, there's no way I don't have like the stomach that is required to have like an MD. And also something that I got from the VSSA, which is just the acronym for Vanderbilt Summer Science Academy. And I got to meet with the lab still. So I got to see what kind of research they're doing. And I actually got involved with presentations. They talked about cystic fibrosis, and the protein involved with it is the cystic fibrosis transmembrane conductance regulator. I think I got that right. I just always call it CFTR. But I would give presentations over CFTR from a more of like a holistic view, it wouldn't be necessarily things that are super relevant to the lab, but it's just like, hey, these are some other things maybe you haven't really thought about. So they focus more on CFTR in the main organs that it's associated with, but it's found in almost any organ of your body. So I made a presentation over its roles in different cells and what exactly it does. And something else that I tried doing, I'm a little pressed for time. So unfortunately, I haven't been able to work on it as much, but I asked them if I could get involved with data analysis and doing some coding. But like I said, I haven't really had as much time as I need to, because coding is not easy. It's quite difficult. And I'm also trying to learn a new language. I knew some C++, but for what I was trying to do, Python would be a lot easier. So I'm also making that transition and learning different libraries. So it was a very, very interesting experience this summer. And I think I learned some valuable lessons that I would not have gotten if it had been an in-person summer program.
So
that's a nice perspective you have on it.
Yeah, I'm glad you have that perspective too. Just a quick follow-up to that. Do you mind explaining what Vanderbilt is for people who might not know what that is, and maybe even how you got that opportunity?
So Vanderbilt is a university in Nashville, Tennessee. And I got that opportunity. It was sort of brought to my attention from somebody that was previously in Dr. Kerwin's lab. And this is where knowing everyone in your lab is very beneficial. They will help you out a lot, because most people in research labs are very passionate. They will help you out with any problem you have, or even encourage you to go further. And she was very helpful with that. And I just applied. I applied for that and 2 other summer programs. I decided to go with Vanderbilt. And yeah.
So you mentioned Dr. Kerwin kind of pushed you into that direction, right? Did the SURE program introduce you to Dr. Kerwin? Kind of go to the beginning really of your research.
Yeah, so my research experience.